The thing is, a lot of people think they understand what 401k means, but according to research, 78%, yes, 78% of Americans do not understand what a 401k plan really is. So in today's show, I'm going to break it down for you. I'm going to explain it to you in easy, everyday English. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you were to ask me. If you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. In today's conversation, I'm going to talk to you about a 401k plan, but I'm going to talk to you about this topic in easy, everyday English. So this show has 5 sections. First section, what is a 401k plan and how does it work? Second section, how do you get a 401k? Third section, what's in it for you in terms of benefits, retirement-wise and savings-wise. Number 4, how to play the 401k versus IRA game smartly. How do you do it really, really cool? And the last section is the portability of 401k. You can actually take your 401k with you, but I'm going to explain to you the mechanism and why it's important. So first thing is, what is a 401k plan and how does it really work? So a 401k is a retirement savings and investing plan that employers offer. So you have this duality here, retirement savings and investing. So this kind of plan gives employees a tax break on money they contribute. So contributions are automatically withdrawn from employee paychecks and invested in funds of the employee's choosing from a list of available offerings. I want to emphasize here the word automatic. So you're not thinking about it, that the money is coming out of your paycheck automatically. And the second part that you need to pay attention to is that you're choosing the funds in which you want your money to be invested. Of course, you're given a certain category of a certain list of fund categories, and you have to choose the one that you're comfortable with. And the catchy name comes from the section of the tax code. So when you hear 401k, it kind of sounds like a little weird, but this catchy 401k name comes from the section of the tax code, specifically subsection 401k, that established this type of plan in the first place. So employees generally contribute money to an individual account by signing up for automatic deductions from their paycheck. And the cool thing here is that depending on the type of plan you have, the tax break comes either when you contribute money or when you withdraw it in retirement, and it has some different tax consequences. And so this is kind of important. And one thing I also want to say here is that usually when you start working at a company, all this information about 401k and IRA, and I'll talk about IRA later on, all this information will be given to you during employee orientation. And if not, you want to contact the HR department of your company, and they'll just give you all the necessary information. Number 2, how do you get a 401k? You usually get a 401k from your employer. Unfortunately, not all employers offer access to a 401k plan. But listen, don't worry, don't despair. If you fall into the camp of employees whose employer does not offer a 401k, that's fine, because you can still reap the same tax benefits from the other big retirement savings vehicle, right? An IRA, an individual retirement account. And what are IRAs? So these accounts offer some attractive benefits. So you have a broader selection of investments and generally lower fees, albeit with a few downsides. So you have lower contribution limits and restrictions for high earners. So let me kind of do a quick compare and contrast between IRA and 401k here. So both 401ks and IRAs have valuable tax benefits, and you can contribute to both at the same time. But the main difference between 401ks and IRAs is that employers offer 401ks, but individuals open IRAs using brokers or banks. So IRAs typically offer more investments. 401ks allow higher annual contributions. Very important to remember. So if the IRAs versus 401k comparison is weighing on you, here is a quick answer. If your employer offers a 401k with a company match, you want to consider putting enough money in your 401k to get the maximum match, because that match may offer a 100% return on your money, depending on the 401k. For example, some employers may promise a 100% match up to 3% of salary. That means what? If your salary is, say, $50,000, your employer will put in $1,500 as long as you also contribute at least $1,500. So once you get the match, then consider maxing out an IRA for the year. So you return to the 401k and resume contributions from there. If your employer, on the other hand, does not offer a company match, you want to consider skipping the 401k at first and start with an IRA or a Roth IRA. I'll talk about Roth IRA later on, because by doing that, you'll get access to a large selection of investments when you open your IRA at a broker, and you will avoid the administrative fees that some 401ks charge. So after contributing up to the IRA limit, guess what? You got to think about funding your 401k for the pre-tax benefits it offers. Very important. So, what's in it for you? That's a good question we have to think about, right? What's in it for you? When we talk about 401ks and IRAs, what's really in it for you as an employee? A few things. Many employers offer to match a portion of what you save. So this is pretty cool, because the pockets, employers have a deeper pocket than individuals, all right? So the 401k perk that gets all the headlines is the employer match, right? So if you work somewhere that offers to toss extra money into your account based on how much you contribute, for example, $1 for $1 or 50 cents on a dollar match up to, say, 6% of your contribution amount, you want to stop reading now and fill out the sign-up paperwork. If you do nothing else, at least contribute enough to your account to nab that free money. It is free money, so you want to nab it. And another thing you need to think about is that pre-tax contributions make saving a little less painful, because contributions to a traditional 401k plan are taken out of your paycheck before the IRS takes its cut, which supersizes each dollar you save, right? So let's say Uncle Sam normally takes 20 cents of every dollar you earn to cover taxes. Saving $800 a month outside of a 401k requires earning $1,000 a month. In other words, $800 plus $200 to cover the IRS's cut. When whoever is in your life, say that you will not miss the money. This is what they are referring to. You also have to think about the fact that contributions can significantly lower your income taxes, because besides the boost to your savings power, pre-tax contributions to a traditional 401k have another nice side effect. They'll lower your total taxable income for the year. And the investments in your account grow unimpeded by Uncle Sam. So in other words, all the investments are growing non-tax. Of course, you have to pay taxes when you retire, when you get the money out, because the fact that you have no taxes, this is just temporary. But it's still a good situation to have. All right. And so just want to clarify here, the tax repellent properties of the traditional 401k don't last forever. So remember, when you got that tax deduction on the money you contributed to the plan, well, guess what? Eventually, the IRS comes back around to take a cut. So in technical terms, your contributions and the investment growth are tax deferred. In other words, they are put off until you start making withdrawals from the account in retirement. At that point, you will owe income taxes to Uncle Sam. And a Roth 401k gets the taxes out of the way right away. So you have a 401k and you have Roth 401k. So the Roth 401k offers the same tax shield on your investments when they are in the account. You owe nothing to the IRS on the money as it grows. But unlike with qualified withdrawals from a regular 401k, with a Roth, you owe the IRS nothing when you start taking distributions. All right? And this is kind of important to know, because the IRS can charge you income taxes only once. So with a Roth 401k, you've already paid your due, because your contributions, if you remember, were made with post-tax dollars. So when you withdraw money in retirement, you and Uncle Sam are already settled up. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back right after this. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Studio Kiwi Show. I want to talk to you now about how to actually play the game, the 401k versus the IRA, how to play the game smartly. This is very important because a lot of people, based on our research, are still confused what to do exactly. So hats off to you if you have the means to max out both a 401k and a traditional IRA or a Roth IRA. If not, this IRA versus a 401k roadmap will help you prioritize your dollars. So you need to have a strategy, folks. Your first step depends on whether your employer matches your contributions to your workplace savings account. So if your employer offers a 401k match, you want to do this. You want to contribute enough to earn the full match. So check your employee benefits handbook. Contact HR. So if you see that your employer matches any portion of the money you contribute to the company 401k plan, do not bypass this opportunity to collect your free money. Very important. A company matching program is one of the biggest benefits of a 401k. It means what? That your employer contributes money to your account based on the amount of money you save up to a limit. And a common arrangement is for an employer to match a portion of the amount you save up to the first 6% of your earnings. So even if a 401k has limited investment choices or higher than average fees, you want to carve out enough money from your paycheck to get the full company match because it's effectively a guaranteed return on those dollars. Also, note that employer contributions don't count toward the 401k annual contribution limits. That's the first thing. The second thing is you want to contribute as much as you're allowed to an IRA. So depending on which type of IRA you choose, Roth or traditional, you can get your tax break now or down the road when you start withdrawing funds for retirement. So a traditional IRA is ideal for those who favor an immediate tax break. So if you're in that category, that's good for you because contributions may be deductible. That means your taxable income for the year will be reduced by the amount of your contribution. But if you are also covered by a 401k, your deduction may be reduced or eliminated based on income. So if you or your spouse has a workplace retirement plan, you need to actually think about and check out the IRA limits for the plan. And a Roth IRA is a great choice if you're not eligible to deduct traditional IRA contributions, or if you don't mind giving up the IRA's immediate tax deduction in exchange for tax-free growth on your investments and tax-free withdrawals in retirement. So Roth IRA eligibility is not affected by participation in a 401k, but there are some income limits, okay? This is kind of important. And so that's the second step. The third step is that after maxing out a traditional IRA or Roth IRA, you want to go back and revisit your 401k. Very critical here. Even if after you've gotten the employer match, and even if your investment choices are limited, which is one of the main drawbacks of workplace retirement plans, a 401k is still beneficial because of the tax deduction. Very important. The money you contribute to a 401k will lower your taxable income for the year dollar for dollar. And don't forget about the added benefit of tax-deferred growth on investment gains. I want to talk to you now about if your employer doesn't offer a 401k match. So first I was talking to you about if your employer offers a 401k match. Now let's talk about if they don't offer the match. There are two things you can do. First, you want to contribute to a traditional or Roth IRA. That's the first thing you need to think about. Not all companies match their employees' retirement account contributions. When that's the case, choosing an IRA and contributing up to the max is generally a better first option. So why start with an IRA, you might ask, right? One of the biggest benefits in our research of an IRA is that it offers access to a virtually unlimited number and type of investments, giving you much more control over your investment options. You can bargain shop for low-cost indexed mutual funds and ETFs instead of being restricted to the offerings in a workplace retirement account. And you can avoid paying the admin fees that many 401k plans charge in the first place. So that's the first step you need to take. Second step, after maxing out IRA benefits, you want to go back and contribute to your 401k. Here again, the tax deferral benefits of a company-sponsored plan is a great reason to direct dollars into a 401k after you have funded a traditional or Roth IRA. Having said that, only in the worst cases, a retirement account with truly crummy high-fee investment choices and high administrative cost, would it be advisable only in those worst circumstances, would it be advisable to completely avoid your company plan? Now, remember that if your income passes certain thresholds and you or your spouse put money into a workplace plan, your ability to deduct traditional IRA contributions may be reduced or eliminated. So if you're not eligible for a traditional IRA deduction, you may still be eligible for a Roth IRA. So you always have a second option. Also, even if you're not eligible to deduct your traditional IRA contribution, you can make non-deductible contributions and still benefit from tax deferment when it comes to your investments. Okay, and the cool thing here is that it's possible to convert an IRA to a Roth IRA by using a so-called backdoor Roth IRA. We have covered this backdoor Roth IRA into another show. You might want to double check that show. So the last thing I want to talk about in this show is the portability, 401k portability. You can take your 401k with you, and the law allows that. If you leave your job someday for another, you can and should take your 401k with you. Very important. This will not go into a box with your other belongings. Rather, you'll need to roll over that account into a new one. And for many people, converting their 401k to an IRA is a good idea. So you want to consult a specialist, a 401k specialist for that, because there are some rules, not only in terms of financial strategy, but also for tax planning when it comes to 401k rollovers. So you want to talk to a specialist. All right. So what's the bottom line here? The bottom line when we are talking about 401k plan is that a 401k is a tax-favored retirement savings account offered by employers, and the limits change based on IRS limits. So in 2020 and 2021, individuals can contribute up to $19,500 a year and $26,000 if age 50 or older. These limits change every year. And you can contribute to both a 401k and an IRA in 1 year. No restrictions here. And the biggest drawbacks of a 401k are plan fees and limited investment options. This is why you really want to read the brochure and whatever documentation that they give you during employee orientation or after you speak to someone in the HR department. You want to read, you want to pay attention to those two elements, the plan fees and the array of investment options they have. So, and the last thing you need to remember when it comes to a 401k is that if you leave your job, you can roll over 401k funds into an IRA. One thing that's very important, please, do not forget the employer match. They can match dollar for dollar up to 6%. In some cases, it really depends upon the company and your performance. And it depends also in your seniority in the company. But the bottom line here is that you have to think about the constellation of those options when it comes to choosing a company, staying there, or leaving the company. And if you decide to leave, again, as I said earlier, you can actually roll over your 401k into an IRA. You can take it with you as you leave the company. All right, folks, thank you so much for for your attention to today's show. Just going to quickly recap the conversation here. I spoke to you about what is a 401k plan and how does it work? How do you get a 401k? What's in it for you? I spoke about IRA versus 401k. How can you play the whole game smart? And I told you that you can actually take your 401k with you. Thank you so much. I will speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.